Hola, everyone. This is Brent back with another edition of Near Mint Musings, and boy, am I excited today. I have, in my personal opinion, in my PC, a Grail card. I know I made a video in the past that kind of dove into what really is a Grail card and if that word is being overused or underappreciated or, used flippantly. In this case, in my particular PC, this is a Grail card. So I'm not going to talk too much because I want to get this card in front of the camera and then I'll talk about the card and the player. But at first I want to start, and by the way, this is the box. I have not opened the contents yet. So this is a bit of a live reveal as well. But I want to start with a quote. This is from Negro League's legend and Hall of Famer, Buck Leonard. Buck said, "If he's not the greatest, I don't know who is. You take Ruth, Cobb, and DiMaggio, give me this guy, and I bet I'd beat you almost every time." Love that quote. So here before you is a box that I received in the mail recently. And here we go. This is the package. I don't usually do the opening on camera, but I figured this one seemed to be easy enough with limited difficulty. Try to do it away from camera here. So, oh boy, here we go. So I need to give a shout out quickly to my friend Orlando from A Collector's Dream. I know he's going to appreciate this Grail card reveal. And I'll talk more about why I say that, particularly about Orlando in a minute. So here, I'm going to get this out of the package. I have not looked at the front yet. I'm going to give a view of the back. It's beat up, but there's a reason for that. Maybe you can tell what card this is going to be. Some of you will know. I know Orlando will know right away. So I have dun, dun, dun. A 1945-46 Caramelo Deportivo of Martin Dihigo. Martin Dihigo. Look at this. It's in a 1, and I'll get to the conditions in a moment and talk about this set. But just look at this. This presents so well. It's obviously a 1 mainly because of the back, but you can make out some of the description in Espanol. There's his name at the top, the name of the set. Hey man, I'm just so excited to have this. This is a card that I never thought I'd own and thought it presented well. These things are beyond paper thin. I checked right before I made this video just to see the latest SGC pop report. There are 50 graded of these. There is none above a 4. Primarily, most of them are a 1. In this whole set, I think the highest graded, there's 1.5. Might be a 4 as well. These things don't grade well because of the A, paper thinness of the card, and B, primarily they were kept in a book, a binder, a folder, an album. Here's where I'll bring Orlando back into the conversation. He recently did a video with a gentleman who presented his amazing Cuban card collection, and he presented the actual album that these cards came in. And I will link it below because it is worth a watch. I've watched it probably 3 or 4 times. 3 times before I had this card and maybe a couple more times afterwards. I'm in awe of it. You watch this video and you're going to just hear the joy in Orlando's voice. and rightfully so. Um, I'm not even from Cuba, and I can imagine what that would felt like for someone like Orlando. But just to have, just me have this passion for Latin baseball, this just does so much for me to have this in my collection. So I will link that video below, so you will get a better in-depth knowledge and view of what that set looks like and how it was kept and why these things are so hard to come by in a condition that presents so well. I'm just so blessed to have one that presents this well. Let's talk about the sets. Let's talk about cards that he has, and then I'm going to talk about the player himself. So Martin Dihigo, he was born in 06 in Sidra, Cuba. His nickname is El Maestro, or El Inmortal, the immortal or the teacher. He began his career in 1922 at the age of 16 as a backup outfielder. I'll go more into depth of who he was, but his true rookie card is a 1927-28 Mallorquina. And when I say that's rare, I think there's only 2 in existence that are known. So that's kind of that white whale, Sasquatch sighting type of card. I guess of 2022, there was an uncut sheet listed on eBay that was listed for $100,000. I don't know what it went for. I'm just, I did some research before this video, very little, but I wanted to give you an idea of the background of this player, for cards at least. His next card, he has 3 in the 1931-32 Doble Aguila set. That's a Venezuelan League set. Now, I have one card from that set that I've shown, I think, a couple times. This is the one card I have. This is of Perucho Cepeda. The player on the right, the gentleman on the right, that is Orlando Cepeda's father. But this is what the cards look like. Martin Dihigo has 3 cards in this set. They all are very similar. They don't list the player's name on the front. They're more action shots. If my remembrance of editing skills works here, maybe I'll put a couple of images here on the screen to show you what his Doble Aguila cards look like. But those are from 31-32. Then you fast forward to 1944, and he has a card in the La Campagnana set. That is an oversized postcard type set. Very, very rare. One sold in 2022 for about $5,000. They're very scarce, very rare. You don't see very many of them. And then the next, as far as the next one in line for years, is this one right here, the 45-46 Caramelo Deportivo set. It was meant to be collected in a book, like I said. They have super thin stock, which a lot of these cards you'll see have holes in them, other defects, they're ripped, just because of the thinness and the way that they were kept. I think on the PSA side, I think the highest on the PSA side is a 5. I misspoke earlier. I believe the highest on SGC is a 4. That's for the whole set, not just for Dihigo, the whole set. And then they also made another set, Caramelo Deportivo, in 46-47. There's his card in that. I'll show a picture of this on the screen as well. That is more of an action shot. So this is his first Caramelo Deportivo card, and I just love this image. So real briefly, let me talk about who Martin Dihigo is, because in my opinion, he's one of the greatest players maybe you've never heard of or don't know enough about. He's one of the greatest players to ever play in the Negro Leagues, and some say he's one of the best Latin baseball players of all time. He was Cuban. He played in the Negro Leagues, as well as the Cuban Leagues, the Mexican League, and the Venezuelan League, all between 1923 and 1950. He began playing in the Negro Leagues at 18, playing from 1923 to 1936, and then again in 1945. While continuing to play in Mexico well into his 40s, Dihigo was a two-way player who could play pitcher and play both infield and outfield positions. Hall of Fame inductee Johnny Mize stated, quote, "Dihigo was the only guy I ever saw who could play all 9 positions, manage, run, and switch hits." He's basically Shohei Ohtani, hold my beer. Dihigo was a 2-time Negro League All-Star and was a 4-time Cuban League MVP. While playing in the Negro Leagues, Dihigo hit over 306 of his 9 seasons, including a .375 average in 1926 and a career average of .307. He also led the league in home runs twice. while playing in the Mexican League in 1938. Okay, so envision how amazing Ohtani is, and then listen to the stats. While playing in the Mexican League in 1938, Dihigo won the batting title with a .387 average, while also going 18-2 as a pitcher with a 0.90 ERA. Good grief. Buck Leonard also went on to say, quote, Dihigo was the best all-around baseball player I have ever seen, end quote. While Hall of Fame catcher Roy Campanella said, quote, Dihigo was one of the greatest I ever saw. He was a tremendous hitter, had great power, could hit for average. He could do everything, unquote. Dihigo was elected into the National Baseball Hall of Fame in 1977 by the Negro League Committee, as well as being inducted into the Cuban Baseball Hall of Fame in 1951 and the Mexican Baseball Hall of Fame in 1964. After ending his career, Dihigo served as the Minister of Sports in Cuba from 1959 to 1971. So here you go. This is the 45-46 Caramelo Deportivo of one of the greatest baseball players of all time. I'm not talking about Negro Leagues, not talking about being Latin. This is one of the greatest baseball players of all time. Just consider what he could do, how many positions he could play, impactfully, consistently, and for a long period of time. At the end of the day, this may be one of the best baseball players that ever played the game. So thank you for watching my Grail pickup of Martin Dihigo. Hope you learned something today. Leave a comment down below. Tell me what you think. What do you think of this card? How much do you know about Martin Dihigo? Did you learn anything today? Just, anything you want to throw down in the comments down below. I'm always appreciative of that. All right, until next time, I appreciate you all. Before I go, here's a nice little blurb from the Negro Leagues that they did on Martin Dihigo. I'll leave you with this. All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Next up was fellow Cuban star Martin Dihigo, one of the most fascinating players in baseball history. He was nicknamed El Maestro, the Master, because he didn't just play one position, he mastered them all. He is the only player in the history of the sport to be immortalized in 5 different countries. He's in the Cuban, Mexican, Venezuelan, and Dominican Baseball Halls of Fame. And in 1977, he got his plaque in Cooperstown. Now, if that's not international, I don't know what is.